Good morning, good afternoon. Calling to order the committee meeting of the whole of the Georgia Board of Education 2/18/2026. I need a motion to go into executive session.
So moved for the purposes of discussing personnel, appeals, and legal matters.
Second.
We have a first from Mr. Downey, second from Mr. Donaldson. All in favor?
Aye.
Courtney?
Aye.
All right. We are in executive session till 1 o'clock.
Some really nice languages.
Okay, just a point of reference, we exited executive session at 12:30 with a motion from Jason Downey, seconded by Lisa Kennemore, and all were in favor. And at this time, I will turn the meeting over to the Budget Committee.
Fantastic. All right, Russ, got a short set of items on the Budget Committee today.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's see, do you want to just go ahead and start?
Yes, ma'am. Item 1 is a grant amendment for our FY25 ESSA formula grants. Purpose of this grant amendment is to award additional allocation of funds received from the U.S. Department of Education for select formula-based grants for federal programs. The amendment amount is $351,092, which brings us to $118,817,432.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Comments? Hearing none. Move to the consent agenda. Second item.
Item 2 is a grant amendment for our FY26 federal formula grant allocations. The Department of Education must amend these grant awards due to Title I Part A grant amendment increase and a Title I Part D Subpart 2 grant amendment increase from the U.S. Department of Education. This amendment will adjust FY26 Title I Part A, Title I Part D, Subpart 2, and Title II Part A awards for new and expanding charter schools. The amount of the amendment is $318,851, which brings the total grant amount not to exceed $677,948,023.
Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
Looking at it with charter schools and all, can you give us a little more information about this particular grant?
Yes, every year we do the same thing for IDA. You'll approve that a month ago. So every year, because the funds are lagging, so if we have new charter schools, we don't actually know their student count data because of the 1 year lag. In addition to that, sometimes the charter schools expand in numbers, and because of that, it's really the statute that we use this time to go back and reallocate additional funds if they need that based on their growth.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Number 3.
All right, item 3 is a contract renewal, individualized education program facilitation training, or IEP training. This contract will provide advanced individualized education program team facilitation skills training for new contracted facilitators and for local education agencies in coordination with the Georgia Learning Resource System. The total amount is not to exceed $309,600.
Any questions?
I have a question. The state schools, are they going to be a part of this as well?
Yes, absolutely. Anybody that wants to participate, and we highly encourage them to, it's been very successful. It's the 3rd year for the renewal, and we typically have about 150 participants among the 18 different regions. So we would highly encourage them to participate.
Thank you.
Excellent. Move that to the consent agenda also. And then number 4.
All right, number 4 is our 50 to 250 contracts. If there's any questions on specific contracts, I'd be happy to answer.
Yes, Mr. Donaldson.
I have questions about the Mediation Center of the Coastal Empire. Is Justin here?
Earlier
He was here.
at the reception.
I can locate him if you want to.
Or can anyone on staff tell us about those?
I'll reach out to Justin, we'll get back.
Okay.
While we're getting Justin, does anyone else have questions? Wait a moment.
I'm sorry, Mr. Donaldson, I can speak to that. This contract was already in effect, it's just the name of the vendor changed. But we can get some additional information from Justin.
Well, look, it was also increased.
It increased the original contract date as well, so it's on a fiscal year renewal, because right now the renewal will be in March, so we're extending the contract to go in June, so that way it's a year-to-year renewal. We won't have this offer lag time, so that was why the increase happened as well. But I can get some additional information from Russ.
I would, please. Thank you.
Any Any other questions? Do we move that to the consent agenda or wait for more information?
Does anyone have any objection to moving it to the consent agenda?
I have no objection, I just want more detail on it.
Okay, yeah, fantastic. All right, we'll move items 1 through 4 to the consent agenda. I think that's all that's in the budget committee.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Russ.
And we are ahead of schedule. We've got a few minutes lag until we can start our committee.
Two additions.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am. Russ, you should talk some more.
Since we're waiting.
Yeah.
Ms. Owen,
I will in a few minutes, I got it.
Everway, I see that there are, it was, text help,
Yes.
okay. And that is, I just wanna make sure state schools are they,
Absolutely.
okay.
We're always gonna make sure the state schools are included. Yes, absolutely, because of resources to support students with disabilities. So yes, and we offer that at no cost to the districts.
Okay, and the company the vendor hasn't changed, it's just the name, is that correct? Okay, all right, I just wanted to make sure that there was no differences. Anything else? Okay,
Thank you.
May be helpful, I Googled mediation center, so there's a website out there, it may give you a little insight as to what that is. It may be helpful or it may not.
I was waiting to hear from Justin. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, we will now move to the Rules Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think Ms. Taylor's out today. I think we have Ms. Walker.
There she
There she is. Hey, Ms. Walker.
Excuse me, before we, Justin, do we want to
Yeah,
give?
I didn't want to interrupt Rich's meeting, but Justin's here if he wanted to give us a little update.
You wanna go ahead before we start, Justin?
If you don't mind,
Great.
Rich.
Yeah, Ms. Walker will put on hold.
Absolutely.
I just wanna, Ms. Dub can't hear anymore. Oh, never mind, she figured it out, we're good.
Okay,
Thank you, Justin.
What would be the question that you want?
I'm curious what, the Mediation Center of the Coastal Empire.
Why am I?
So tell us what this contract's for, what they do, and how the money's being used.
Sure. Well, the Mental Health Awareness Training Catalog is a large array of courses that are funded by the governor's budget. Most of the courses involve a lot of different versions of mental health awareness training. This organization used to be part of a Savannah Chatham organization. They merged with the Mediation Center. And the primary thing that they provide training in is trauma-informed practices. So children that have experienced life traumas, it builds an awareness for educators to understand the impact to the learning environment. Hopefully that helps a little bit. I'd say the first semester we had about 400 educators attend, specifically about 360. Ranks at about fourth of all the catalog classes for the first semester, which is not bad.
And you gave us some attendance numbers too. Is that what you just said, the 400?
Correct. Yeah, the
Right.
very first, the contract that you have in front of you for the Georgia State Child Welfare Training, about almost 900 educators in the first semester. And so when you think about the Mediation Center ranking about 360, again, that ranks at about fourth.
Okay.
And for the second semester, we have 32 courses scheduled for the second semester. The first semester, we had 14 courses delivered for 360 educators, but that's doubled in the second semester. It kind of gives you an insight into the demand signals.
Okay. And there's also an amendment and an increase in the compensation.
Correct.
And you're extending the term of the contract?
We are, but this is because of the increased demand.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's all I have.
thank you, Justin.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Madam Chair. So I guess we can start with the Rules Committee, Ms. Walker. Item number 1.
Yes, item number 1 is the adoption of the withdrawal of the current State Board Rule 160-5-1-.28, student enrollment and withdrawal. House Bill 268, which was passed by the General Assembly during the 2025 legislative session, supported increased school safety efforts. This rule is being repealed to make way for a new rule that incorporates the changes that were brought about by House Bill 268 relative to student enrollment and withdrawal procedures. At the January 2026 board meeting, the State Board approved the initiation of this rule, and it has been posted for public review and comment for at least 30 days.
Any questions, comments? Ms. Canmore?
Did you get any comments regarding this particular rule?
So we got comments, not particularly about the repeal of this one, but we did get comments about the new rule. I can speak to those now, or I can speak to those with the next item, whichever you'd prefer.
I'll wait.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. And that will be put on for a separate vote, I believe, Madam Chair. So item number 2, Ms. Walker?
Item number 2 is the adoption of the new State Board Rule 160-5-1-.28, student enrollment and withdrawal. The same as the first item, this is coming about because of House Bill 268, which was passed during the 2025 legislative session to support increased school safety efforts. So this rule is being created to address those updates and the changes that are relative to student enrollment and withdrawal that were outlined in that law, and we're removing any outdated language. In addition, there are a few other laws that were pertinent to student enrollment and withdrawal that have been incorporated into this new rule. This rule was approved for initiation at the January 2026 meeting and has been posted for at least 30 days for public review and comment. We did receive just 2 comments, both of which were in reference to, there's a term, school business days, that is incorporated into the law in terms of the number of school business days that it is required for the transfer of student records. There were comments about the potential need for a clearer definition of school business days, but that is coming straight from the law. So we didn't feel that we could elaborate on exactly the way the law was written.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Wouldn't a business day be?
School's open.
Yes. I believe the confusion was stemming from sometimes you may have a central office that's open, but maybe the students aren't in school. So there was just, I don't know how far
Pre-planning,
reaching
post-planning,
this
different-
was,
different-
the number of folks that may have confusion. I think perhaps they were just hoping for a very explicit, what is exactly a school business day, but
Thank you.
Great, and that will also be pulled for a separate vote, Madam Chair. Item number 3 has been withdrawn, so I just want to say that for the record. Is there anything else y'all need on item number 3? Okay, item number 4.
All right, item number 4 is the adoption of State Board Rule 160-5-1-.14, the transfer of student records. Also, in reference to House Bill 268 that was passed in 2025 to support school safety efforts, the State Board Rule transfer of student records is being amended to address the updates and changes related to the transfer of student records that were outlined in House Bill 268. This rule was also approved for initiation at the January 2026 meeting, and it has been posted for at least 30 days for public review and comment.
Any questions or comments? Yes.
I know at the last meeting when this was initiated, I wanted some clarification that it was okay to send electronic records. And I agree that I thought that could be done in guidance, so I'm just saying that again so that y'all don't forget to put that in there, that that electronic sending of records is a good thing, or and it can be done, because I know for a fact that there are school systems that won't do that, and that it delays the receipt of the records quite a bit. So I'm just highlighting that again, that
Absolutely.
please
That
put
is
that in
noted.
your
Yep,
guidance.
we will definitely take that into consideration with the guidance.
Any other questions or comments? Yes, Ms. Kennedy?
Did you get comments on this particular?
We
rule
did
as
not
well?
get comments on
Okay.
this.
All right, thank you.
Anything else? Madam Chair, that'll also be pulled for a separate vote. Item number 5?
Item number 5 is seeking approval to post new career technical and agricultural education standards for junior leadership core courses. So this is a request to approve the standards to be posted for public review and comment. The current middle school leadership program began 15 years ago with materials that were developed by the U.S. Army for the purpose of inspiring and preparing young people to graduate and pursue further studies and careers beyond high school. These standards have now been developed for the department specifically by a team of experts in collaboration with our CTAE division, and will allow the course content to be part of the department's K through 12 standards. If approved, these standards will be posted for public review and comment for at least 30 days.
Any questions or comments?
I like this. I think it gives those kids who have the interest to get a jump start. And there are a lot of great students who graduate and go off and serve, and this just enhances those opportunities and abilities for those who have the desire. So I'm very supportive of this.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis. Anybody else? Mr. Donaldson?
Somebody here brought wall on it.
Right.
Oh, of course, Roger.
Roger's allocation comes to curriculum and standards.
This was developed and it's been implemented in Georgia for many years. They've just never had true standard, Georgia standards, and they wanted to come in line with the rest of things that are offered in school systems. So the systems asked if we would develop those standards like we've done in JROTC for those units, taking the material from the Department of Defense and creating Georgia standards to go along with it. But it's a great program for middle school kids. It's not like we're promoting joining the Army in 6th grade, but it does promote character, leadership, discipline, helps them focus, work on academic achievement, and they do wear uniforms, and they do have some drill, but it's you're in it in middle school, it's not like you've signed off that you're gonna do it in high school or you're gonna go join the Marines. But it's great for a number of kids, and, one of the things, some of the material is basically just do right. It's gonna teach the kids how to do right. And, 40 years ago, they kind of came to school with some of that already under their belt. And now it has to have class involved with it. So, Gwinnett has a number of those programs. Bibb County has a number, Houston, and, they've done some magnificent things with students.
Seems like it ought to be a requirement, not an option.
Too bad. It should be.
Yeah, should be a requirement, not an option, yeah.
And if, Roger, you're right, we have to do more character education than sometimes arithmetic and everything else. Glad to see it. Thank you, Roger. Thank you, Dr. Wall.
Had a good standards development review team too.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Madam Chair, we'd like to put this on the consent decree.
Okay.
Consent agenda.
That's my
hearing tomorrow. My opening statement is ready for tomorrow. Thank y'all. Thank
like
you,
you're
Ms.
prepared
Hart.
well, Jared.
Thank you very much.
All right. Prepared well for tomorrow, right?
Yes, I did.
We've got about 3 minutes before we move on to our district flexibility meeting.
Overruled.
We should just roll these into each other.
Teach it.
Okay.
It's a loser because she's fantastic.
Yeah.
We'll find a spot somewhere. Yeah, it is. Exactly. Our kids are grown, so she's like, okay, I'm ready to go. Everyone will.
taking me over there.
Tell me when and I will make it happen.
Okay.
I will send down a picture.
So here we go.
At this time, we'll move on to District Flexibility and Charter Schools Committee items.
All right, I guess I'm
You're up.
leading this for today. We miss Martha, we hope she's doing well. And item 1 on the agenda deals with Atlanta Public Schools.
Yes, item number 1 is requesting approval for a charter system contract amendment for Atlanta Public Schools. They are requesting an amendment to their current charter system contract to add language that specifically states that the system will not waive the Georgia Fair Dismissal Act. And this amendment was approved by their local Board of Education on December 3rd, 2025.
All right, does anyone have any questions regarding item number 1?
I do. I just want to clarify in reading this. Currently, their contract allows them to waive the Fair Dismissal Act. They are asking us to add this, to approve adding it back in, that their policy will now align with the Georgia Fair
Correct.
Dismissal Act. Okay,
Correct.
thank you. Just wanted to clarify that I read that correctly.
Any follow-up?
So this is kind of new to me. I haven't seen this before. I'm curious why the request now?
And Carrie can help speak to this as well, but there have been, I believe, some lawsuits revolved around fair dismissal. And so some of the charter systems who have a blanket waiver for almost everything in Title 20 have recognized the need to make sure that it's clear in their contract so that their teachers and their staff and their HR department all know that that is not included in their waivers, even though they have a blanket waiver as a charter system.
Okay.
We got a case, we got a appeal on it.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further questions? If there's no objection, this will move to the consent agenda. We'll move on to item 2, Atlanta Neighborhood Charter School.
Still have to work out whether we do a high five or a down low and across.
Passing it off.
Hey everyone, hello.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, so we're going to stick with Atlanta Public Schools for now, and starting with a renewal for Atlanta Neighborhood Charter School, one of our oldest and best performing charter schools. So it's recommended that the State Board of Education renew a charter for Atlanta Neighborhood Charter School. The petitioner for the K through 8 local charter school approved by the Atlanta Public School Board of Education for a full 5-year term beginning July 1st, 2026 and ending June 30th, 2031. So quite a bit of information here about the school. I'll give it to you in part. The Atlanta Public Schools Board of Education approved the Atlanta Neighborhood Charter School charter petition on January 12th. Their mission, you can see it there, to build, engage, help, challenge, collaborate. They're going to implement the following essential and innovative features: fully integrated farm program at both campuses. They have separate elementary and middle campuses, which are close, but not right next to each other. Scratch and Aid locally sourced nutrition program where students help plan menus and recipes. A school-wide commitment to conscious discipline, emphasizing adult modeling, student self-regulation, intentional responses. A constructivist learning model centered on inquiry, collaboration, and authentic assessment, and a holistic relationship-based approach to education, incorporating daily mindfulness, weekly community meetings, restorative practices, and integrated social emotional learning. Again, grades 6-8, approximately 628 students by year 3, and this will be its 5th term. Enrollment, as with any locally approved charter school, enrollment boundary is the district itself. They do focus on, they have a narrower focus on their neighborhood, but one thing I will say, just to give you a little information about our review process, this is one of those schools where they're doing exactly what you hope a high-performing school will do, which is once they've hit all their goals, they shift their focus to a few different places. They shift their focus to supporting more gifted kids, to bringing the high kids even higher, to reaching out to different groups of educationally disadvantaged kids. So they're really kind of shifting, getting a broader focus and a higher focus, which is, again, really what you want to see folks who are killing it. That's what you want to see them do. We do have some folks from ANCS, I believe, on the phone if folks have, or on the line if folks have questions. Or if you have questions for me, I'm happy to answer them as well.
We'd love to hear from the school.
So we have Alistair Pullen, who's the school leader, and then Shannon Rutledge, who's the board chair online.
Well, welcome to the meeting.
Thank you so much. As Alan said, my name is Alistair Pullen, and I am the very proud executive director at a charter school. As Alan mentioned, we are very, very proud of our performance and proud of some of the initiatives that we have going into this next charter term, which include expanding the number of economically disadvantaged students we're currently serving, and making sure that our highest level students are continuing to grow at a rate that exceeds both the state and the district. We're excited about our innovative approach, our program discipline, and look forward to continuing to work in Metro Atlanta and in the state of Georgia as a whole. So I'm happy to answer any questions folks may have. We want to thank you all for your time and reviewing our application.
That was a little like writing the song.
Yeah, little drama. Does anybody have any questions? Stockwell? Yes, ma'am.
Part of the reason why I think this is good, and we had this whole renewal process, because if you're doing good things, it's good to share that. So when I was looking through the petition, it seemed to me like your middle grades program was particularly strong. And so I'm just interested and would be encouraged to hear what you think is working in middle grades, because that's a tough grade level, but yours seems to be working.
I believe you were cutting out a little bit on my end, so if I don't answer this question directly, please stop me. But I would say, from what I could hear, the challenges that we face, I think, are challenges like most schools face. We are constantly trying to figure out how to work with students and families in this sort of post-COVID time where a lot of tried and true things that we do just no longer work on a very different time. But I would say some of the challenges I think that schools face that we have successfully addressed are really through our strong student retention and family retention rate, as well as our teacher retention rate. The fact that we have over 1,000 students and we have 97% of our teachers.
Alistair, can you hear me? Two things. First,
coming back.
Yeah, can you hear me? You can hear me? The question was actually about your middle school. What are you doing in middle school to get the scores you're getting in middle school, grades 6 through 8? You're doing great.
Can you all
Why
hear
are
us
you doing
okay?
great?
We're having some issues on our end, and it may be, yeah. Can you hear us okay out there in TV land?
It's broken up for Courtney too, so it must be on both ends.
Okay. I'm happy to confer and then get back to you offline about that answer.
I'm not questioning anything, but I do think their middle school data looked strong. It was very strong, and so I just feel part of the reason the charter schools are set up the way they do is so they can explain and talk about what they're doing different that's successful. And I just noticed this particular school does particularly well with middle school.
One thing I'll say that I don't want to speak for him entirely, but I can say, having worked with them since about 2007 in different ways, the fact that they've been around so long, and even though I mentioned some places they're shifting, they've been really consistent with the structure, with constructivism and some of the mindfulness pieces, which I think are particularly impactful at those higher grades, where kids start to kind of drift off sometimes, but really keeping them focused and keeping them, really working together collaboratively. It's also a small school. It's a very small school building, which I think helps as well. He would have much more to say, I'm sure, but those I know are factors.
I'd like to come visit.
Yeah.
And how many students are presently there? I see 628 by third year, but
Right, that's for both campuses together.
Okay.
So it's around that now. They're not growing very much.
Okay.
So it's about that's about right.
I was just wondering what the growth is. Okay.
But the elementary campus is quite a bit larger than the middle school campus. So.
Okay, very, very good.
Any other questions regarding item 2 on the agenda? If there are no objections, we'll place that on the consent agenda and move to item number 3, KIPP Metro Atlanta Cluster.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So we have a charter contract amendment for KIPP Metro Atlanta Cluster. It is recommended that the State Board of Education approve an amendment to it's a cluster contract, contains many schools, for KIPP Metro Atlanta, authorized by Atlanta Public Schools to remove 2 closing charter schools from the current charter contract. So you recall cluster contracts, as you'd expect, it's one contract with several schools listed. So KIPP acts kind of, or operates kind of like a little district within APS, and all those schools that are in their little district, their cluster are listed there. So KIPP Metro Atlanta, a charter school cluster authorized by APS, is requesting a contract amendment to remove KIPP Seoul Primary School and KIPP Seoul Academy, so right through that's elementary, middle schools that are linked, from their current contract. Both schools are scheduled to close in June 2026 due to low enrollment, staffing, and academic performance. The charter amendment was approved by APS, Board of Education, on February 2nd, 2026. And I would like to point out, this is another thing we want to see charter schools do. If they're not doing it, they need to close and other folks do better. So that's what's going on here. KIPP stepped up and is voluntarily surrendering these schools. So
I was going to say the exact same thing. This is actually a positive.
Yeah.
It
If it's
is.
not working for kids, then it shouldn't exist.
right, and KIPP will continue their good work at their other schools and shift their focus there.
And I appreciate the fact that KIPP can admit that and accept that. That's a positive.
When you see how much some folks fight to see,
That's
right?
positive. That's
Yeah.
very positive.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
Does anybody have any follow-up?
We don't have anyone, I don't think, to speak. We don't generally do that with contract amendments. I don't know, if you want, Matt Underwood is online from APS. He's the charter liaison there. So if anyone wants to know more about it, you can share more information, but it's up to you.
Does anyone have any questions regarding this particular item? All right, if there's no objection, we'll move that to the consent agenda, item number 3, and move on to item number 4, which is the REACH charter petition out of Savannah.
Yes, thank you, sir. So again, we haven't had many new charter schools lately, so this is a new one. Savannah, Chatham County, it is recommended that the State Board of Education award a charter to REACH Public School, the petitioner for a grades 9 through 12 local charter school approved by the Savannah, Chatham County Board of Education for a 5-year term from 2026 to 2031. Savannah Chatham County Board of Education approved this charter petition on August 13th, 2025. REACH Public School's mission is to value each student and recognize their worth as a whole person on their path to graduation and in their community beyond the classroom. They foster access, connection, and agency through personalized learning, empowering students to reach their greatest potential. And you'll see some information about their programming there. Again, it's a charter high school. We'll have approximately 500 students, so they're going to grow to that by the last year of their proposed charter term, and this is, again, their first term. So they're open to the entire district. You probably know we have a few other dropout recovery programs. The most notable and closest one is Skyview in Fulton County, so it's a very specialized program, but they do have open enrollments. They'll take anyone in high school. This kind of program really requires a deep partnership, right? Because they have to work together with the district to kind of strategize about how to handle the open enrollment part, since it's a selected group of kids. So, but we have online. I'm happy to answer any questions about it. And we have Patrick Connell, who is the board chair, online, and Jessica Ray, who's starting the academic program there. We have some other folks too, but they're the main folks. If folks want to ask questions of them or of me, please do.
I just want to say one thing. I think this is a great opportunity for us in the 1st Congressional District to see this type of model. I was impressed with Skyview when I had the opportunity to view, and I've had an opportunity to talk with Patrick about this model, what they're wanting to do down in Savannah. There's a need. Anytime that we can, implement programs to support kids maintaining the opportunity to stay in some type of educational setting, but also attain and achieve their diploma is a plus. And I think it's a really, unique program how they handled the framework of Skyview in, this northern parts of Georgia. And I think it'll be a great opportunity for us in Savannah and in the 1st Congressional District. So.
Excellent. And I wanted to add again, just to return to that piece about KIPP we just talked about. In this case, they will do well, or they'll find another strategy. So it's not the school that's going to linger on forever if they're not succeeding with this admittedly difficult population or challenging. So.
Yes, Ms. Lisa.
I also like the fact that it's a high school.
Hmm.
We see a lot of charter elementary.
We have so
middle school
few.
grade, but we have so few high schools for the kids to matriculate to. So, And with this model, just like, was said earlier, this is a great model to help the students, be able to find themselves and center themselves and be able to get a quality education throughout, their high school time. So I like that.
Anything further? Does anyone have, yes, Mr.
This is Pat.
She wants to speak online.
This is Patrick Connell. I was just going to let you know that we on the Zoom call are experiencing the same breaking up of audio. So it's very difficult to hear. It sounds positive. We're certainly happy to answer any questions that we can, but I didn't want you to mistake my silence as nonchalantness. We're certainly happy to answer any questions that you may have.
I just want to hear a little bit more about their plan, but given the audio difficulties, it's fine.
Well, his wasn't so bad.
Patrick's was better.
Yeah, Patrick's.
Patrick, can you talk a little bit more about your plans? If you heard me, then we can.
Sure. Yeah, I can talk freely kind of about the
Hold on a
plan.
second, hold on a second, Patrick, I'm sorry.
I'm specifically interested in the transportation issues.
How are you all going to handle transportation at the school? Can you talk a little bit about that and access?
Absolutely, and that's a great question, and it's one that we try to approach structurally, also understanding that there's a budgetary constraint there. So luckily, our facility is directly on the Chatham County transit route that serves north, south, east, and west all over the county. There are also some expansion plans in place right now, and we're actively interfacing with Denise Grabowski, who's overseeing those expansion plans for CAT. One of our board members, Michael Owens, is also on the Chatham area transit board here. So, we anticipated that potentially being an issue, and we are hopeful for this first school, and it may be the first of many, but of course we want to get on our legs, that it's strategically placed centrally in the community to begin with. The use of the CAT route as well, and then if we're able to demonstrate success here and create a model that is replicable, the satellite schools that we might consider in the future would also be located strategically in areas that would benefit from the school services to ease the need for long distance transportation for, say, East Savannah or the western sides of Chatham County.
But for now, we'll focus on this one school.
No, I think that's.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's down the road quite a while.
That tells me a whole lot that you just thought of it.
Having that connection on their board too is.
And having your, yeah. I applaud you for all that, I guess.
Thank you very much.
Any further questions about this?
I have one.
Yes.
Yeah, just a question with a school of this, how does it compare to the completion school model?
Well, this is actually, the completion schools are for partially program-based and then also have kids who are assigned to them. This is actually a school in the district. All the data will roll up to Savannah Chatham District. So it is more like a district school in that sense in terms of accountability. So it's a little bit, and I'd say, and one thing that I guess another side of it is in terms of access, unless charter schools have an interdistrict agreement, this is locally through charter schools, with other districts, they just serve the kids from within the district. So this is, which might have been part of what Patrick, I'll just put a few words to this off, was going to, is access is limited just to Savannah Chatham. If you had a completion special school, those are usually partnerships between different districts.
Yeah, well, you have MOUs with other.
Right. Yeah, so it's a little different.
It was sounding like
it did, right? Yeah.
The completion school model, but just at a district level.
Yep.
I think that's probably accurate, and we've had folks say that that's a pretty apt descriptor, but we do, I think, have some differences, and we were very strategic in seeking our charter from Savannah Chatham County Public School System. We see ourselves as in partnership, not in competition. We want to complement. We want to be able to add a level of service to reach a certain type of student that their model, it's just not designed. It doesn't have the flexibility that we can provide. And so that's where we fit in.
Okay.
Anything further? All right. If there's no objection, we'll move this item, number 4, to the consent agenda. That concludes the business of flexibility and charter, and we have 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the consent.
1, 2, 3, and 4 to the consent agenda. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and Mr. Downey, you're still up.
All right, double duty today. All right. For audits, there is no set agenda, but we do have 3 items we'll discuss today. The first is an update on Talbot County. The second will be an update on Dublin City. The third will be some changes in SB 68. And then, very briefly, I wanted to tell you all about some legislation that deals with this committee that's brewing over in both the House and the Senate. So, Russ, if you'll go ahead and start with Talbot County.
All right, I want to welcome Kate Russell. She's the director at Mullen & Jenkins. She's actually the one that worked on their financial assessment that we had them perform, and she's been working with Talbot on implementing those changes.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for the opportunity to come and provide this update on behalf of Talbot County Schools. It's on, okay, it does like me. So briefly, I want to give you a little background about why we're here and why we're providing you this update on Talbot. Some of the administrative progress that they have made since we issued our report in the fall, some of the financial progress that they've made, the continuing efforts that we will be making with them in the coming months, and then happy to answer any questions I can answer at this time on behalf of the district. So as you're all aware, in the summer of 2025, your Department of Education asked our firm to come in and do a financial assessment of Talbot County schools. The financial audits conducted by DOAA were a little delayed to their current real-time state, so we wanted to give you an update on where they are currently, what issues were still persistent, and any other concerns we saw in working with the district and sitting down with them in their central office day to day. So as a part of our assessment report, we provided 21 recommendations to the district to make a number of updates to improve efficiency, to enhance compliance, and to fix some of the financial control issues that had been persistently noted in their audits for the last few years. And so as a condition of the approval of their strategic systems waiver contract renewal, they were asked to contract with a firm to make those efforts with them, to make that make those recommendations active and operationalize them, and also to come before you and provide updates on that progress so that you have visibility into their continuing efforts. So that's what we're here to do today, is provide the first of those updates. So the first thing I'll update you on is their administrative progress. I think the biggest thing to note for them at this time was that in December of 2025, the Talbot Board of Education selected Jonathan Taylor as their next superintendent. Jonathan had previously been the assistant superintendent and the principal of their high school. Since coming on board in December, he has been assigned a superintendent mentor by the Chattahoochee-Flint RESA. He has received new superintendent training from the state. He is working with Chattahoochee-Flint to schedule additional financial training for the Board of Education members to give them additional insight into financial operations and budget and things like that. And then he has also established a school advisory committee for the county. So this he actually established prior to being selected as superintendent. They held their first meeting in September of 2025. It involves school staff, parents, community members, and other community leaders. And the goal of this committee is really to try to create more transparency and visibility in the community around what the school's doing, around data on the school's performance and on its finances, so that you have strengthened communications and engagement between the community and the district. And other administrative updates, their board has contracted with Georgia School Boards Association to do their annual updates to their board governance. That will begin in March of this year, and they anticipate being able to adopt any recommended changes over the summer. They've also updated their board meeting minute format. One of the things we noticed, and I believe that DOAA noticed when conducting their FY24 audit, is that the minutes lacked detail when the board was approving purchases over $10,000, which their board policy requires board approval of. So there was no evidence in the previous minutes that they were retaining. They have since updated that template, and we have seen evidence of that documented in meeting minutes we have reviewed since they made that update at the end of last summer. One of the other concerns that we noted was that their documentation was a little haphazard. They had rows and shelves of boxes and boxes and boxes of files with haphazard labels on them, which made it challenging to find financial records when you did need to conduct an audit or review older information. So they have started inventorying everything that they have. They have started destroying things that are outside of the state's record retention schedule for school records. They are refiling them in the boxes since they don't have filing cabinets at this time, but the boxes have better labels on them, noting the year of the records and the general contents, whether it is student records or financial or payroll or other records. And then they're hoping for FY26 to have a contract in place that will allow them to move to digital records maintenance. So they will be scanning all of their financial records, creating a robust file server with cloud backup for that so that everything is not just maintained physically in the central office part of their campus. It's working slowly. I'll just keep going since I think it hates me. In HR and position updates, there are two things we had noticed. Now it's gone ahead too far. Their CFO was also their director of IT, and that's two very significant hats for one person to wear, even in a small district. So we had recommended they look at ways to separate out those responsibilities. Superintendent Taylor has created interim separation for the rest of this fiscal year, and he will be proposing a full-time head of IT for his FY26 budget to move formally and consistently separate those duties. And then in January, they posted a payroll specialist position to help with some of the payroll discrepancies that we noted around missing timesheets, about lack of documentation for stipend pay, and about some of the concerns we had raised about benefit deductions not matching enrollment and payments made to those benefit providers. Let's see if we'll go back one more once. And then in terms of financial updates, they introduced a couple of the controls already that we recommended. They now have a check log so that the person who receives the mail logs all of the checks that are received, turns all of that over to a second person who makes the deposits, and then a third person is reconciling that information with that additional documented control to ensure that checks are being appropriately captured. And then they've also put in monthly federal spend review, something that didn't exist previously. So their federal programs director sits down with their CFO every month, and for each one of their federal awards, reviews the spend and the match date, the targets that they have to spend to make sure they're on track or ahead, and if not, they are working on developing plans to get them caught up and to make sure all of their reporting is compliant. In audit updates, they have been historically behind on their audits due to, in part, lack of local preparation. Their FY24 audit is complete. It was published by DOAA in January. DOAA is working to complete their financial statements right now so that they can begin their FY25 audit. So still behind for obviously the stated goal and deadline, but closer than they have been in a number of years. In terms of transparency, that was something that we had noted, but that we had not really seen much of with the community. Obviously, the superintendent has created this new committee, but they're also posting more financial information on their website. So now the entirety of the Board of Education financial packet is being put on their website every month. They started that in October of 2025, so you can now go on there and see all of that information. They've also added nutrition reporting to their monthly board updates that had not historically been part of it, so they're getting more insight into that food services budget and where they are against their available funding from the state and where different local funds may be needed. And then the last big thing here that I wanted to flag was their P-card. Obviously, there were a number of issues with how they administered their P-card and maintained documentation. They have not made any significant changes at this point in time. They were waiting for the new superintendent, but when I met with him in January, he is evaluating his card holders, he is evaluating program administration, and will be making some changes in the coming month to have separation between his program administrator and his primary card holders in the district. In terms of next steps, so we executed a contract with them in December. We formally started meeting with them in January. I have been down to the district for some of these updates. I was able to physically review and verify them. Some of them are self-attested by the district. I obviously didn't attend September 2025 committee meetings. But based on conversations in those January meetings, we are primarily focused on getting them a written policies and procedures manual with all of the associated forms, templates, and other standard documents that are going to ensure those internal controls are in place and that there's consistent implementation across the district. So first we'll do a layout of what they have existing in terms of practice and what their current board policies require. We'll review that gap analysis with them, help them make decisions about where they don't have any operating procedures to get the right ones in place. Then we'll help them develop the forms and templates necessary to ensure standard implementation. And then we'll also give them a RACI matrix so that they have clearly defined roles and responsibilities in central office to make sure, again, you have appropriate separation of duties. You have appropriate control. You don't have the same person performing multiple steps in a key function or process. And thank you for that. I will answer any questions, sir.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions during the follow-up?
I think this is great. Everything y'all done, phenomenal.
Thank you.
Mr. Johnson?
So in a small organization, there's probably gonna be internal control problems, because it's just, they can't afford many employees.
Yes.
How do you weigh out internal control deficiencies versus what the district can afford?
So we look for compensating controls where that may make sense. Are there ways that the board can get involved? Are there ways that they can use outside or third parties to help them with review steps? That's typically what we've been working with them on, is there are limited resources. We can't ask them to hire 22 financial staff to create all of the steps. They've been able to use some administrative staff for some of the less technical steps. So for the check log, as an example, they're using the executive assistant to the superintendent to report it. And then they're also using their food services director because she's not involved in other non-food services financial functions. So we're getting a little creative with the staff that they have. And that's why that RICSI matrix is going to be helpful to make sure we don't have any of that crossplay.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have a question. It's not necessarily about Talbot County, but just curious, do we not have something that's a written policy and procedure manual from the DOE for all school systems, or do they have to create their own?
They can adopt it from GSBA. It's typically what we did when I was on the local board. Every draft policy that we needed, we would contact GSBA and they would send us the draft, and we can tweak it and kind of make it, fit our district, but GSBA has some framework.
Okay, I just found it interesting you're having to help them create that when I would think it's already out there somewhere.
We do that.
Okay.
We are using that as the basis to ensure that everything we develop for the district is consistent.
Yeah, I saw that it was consistent. I was just curious as to having to recreate that for this particular school district, that maybe everybody needs to have one. I was assuming everybody had one, but maybe that's not a safe assumption. Okay, thank you.
And I think for Talbot, part of what's missing, if I may, is they don't have operating procedures. The policy gives you that general framework, but not the steps of how you operationalize it.
Okay.
So that's where they had some inconsistencies and some of those internal control failures.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further on Talbot County? Thank you so much for that update. We appreciate your hard work.
Thank you.
Russ, we'll move on to item number 2, update on Dublin City.
All right, I got a quick update on where Dublin City is now. This is February. This is their last bid drawdown, or they are receiving this month their remaining FY26 QBE allotment. It's about $1.28 million, which is just under 1 month's allotment, but this will be their final allotment, so they won't get any more QBE dollars for the rest of the year. However, property tax revenues did come in February, so they got about $5 million, which assisted them with making all their payroll. And with that, they should be able to project right now, we're projecting about a $3.48 million surplus at the end of the year. Now, when I always classify that to say that surplus will have to go towards next year's spending until property tax revenues come in. So easy way to think about it is their expenses are about $2.8 million a year. Their QBE is about $1.3 million. So they're going to have to offset that with the buildup of surplus until property tax revenues come in. Now, if property tax revenues come in when they normally would in December, they won't need an advancement as long. But right now, it looks like they are currently projecting advances starting in September again until property tax revenues come in. So we are still working with them on cutting, looking at ways that they can make cuts within the district. One of the things, the superintendent just sent another letter, outlining some specific things that we kind of need some assistance from the district with, such as, hiring a CFO. This will allow our staff to fully kind of move to a more assistance role and not quite on the day-to-day stuff. We still have a full-time person. We still have Dr. Johnson out there. Our 2 consultants have transitioned off of DOE payroll onto Dublin City. They're now paying for the 2 consultants. The 2 ladies decided that they would stay on, but This will allow them a little more flexibility with their board and be able to do board reports and stuff where they weren't allowed to do that as DOE employees. Let's see, they're in the process, and the FY23 audit has been signed, so it should be completed and done, and this will allow now the Department of Audits, which is going to go in and do an FY24 and 25 audit on Dublin City. So I can answer any questions.
Questions? Mr. Donaldson?
So, Russ, to determine what the reserve would be after this fiscal year, they ran a cash flow, right?
Yes.
And have you checked the numbers?
So for the end of this year, the cash flow is 3.48 million.
Okay.
We're still working on the 27 budget. One of the things that's in the letter you'll see from Superintendent Woods is we need them to finalize their salary schedule for 27. You know, with that salary schedule, we can adjust, we can take in where their step increases and stuff are, and we can also put in the new state health benefit plan increases. There's been questions around that. I mean, the cost for the non-certified things a little over $100,000, so it's not going to drastically change the budget projections, but it is an additional cost. But their QBE will also go up. Now that'll be for the certified teachers, but they'll also get some more QBE, assuming with training experience. So we're working on the 27, but we're still in the cash flow analysis instead of an actual budget. We can't do a budget yet until we get their finalized salary schedule.
So even with the surplus at the end of this fiscal year, we're still gonna have to advance QBE.
Yeah,
the 27 QBE.
Yeah, for instance, in September, they'll be about currently until they're about 640,000 short. So it will, and I would say currently on the cycle we're going, until they pay off, they're making payments, which they made their first repayment on their state health benefit plan for the 279,000. That's for the 6.5 million, 24-month payment plan. So until that payment plan, which is an extra almost $300,000 a month, which is $3.5 million a year, until they pay that off, they're going to have a hard time building up a reserve large enough to where they don't need advancements, or as an alternative.
So with that, you anticipate us advancing QBE because the repayment's what, 3 or 4 years?
2 years.
2 years. So you think we'll have to advance QBE for the next 2 years?
Yeah, so it looks like they're going to need an advancement. I think it's a reading list, a little over $6 million currently. Now we're still working with them to find additional cuts, but they're cutting down pretty significantly. But $6 million is what they'll need to be advanced in 27 currently, and then I would expect their surplus should raise if they continue on the same path, and then they wouldn't need as much in 28. But that should be the last year because then they'll pay off their state health benefit plan, have less expenditures, be able to build up a bigger surplus. This is all assuming property taxes start getting collected. It gets a little harder if property taxes come in, which they did this year in February, because then that delays the process. If property taxes come in December, then that should around 28.
My concern is the precedent that we're setting by advancing QBE on and on.
Unlimited.
You know, are we setting a precedent for districts if they get in a financial strait? Well, you advance Dublin City, you can just advance ours.
Let me clarify. Like the Department of Education doesn't technically advance QBE. So QBE is in law is not really a 12-month. It's an earning for districts.
Mm-hmm.
It's really a cash flow amount from the governor's office. So they give us monthly allotments. So when we do these advances, we reach out and get approval from the governor's office to make these advances.
So in your time as CFO, how many times have we advanced QBE?
That's a good question. I would say a handful. We have done it before. Yep. We've never done it to this.
This is not normal.
We've never done it where we advanced QBE for multiple years and multiple months. We've had to do it, a couple months here and there. And right now, we've got another district that's not needing a QBE advance in the same boat. They're having some their property tax revenues are supposed to come in. They're having some, I guess, reval discussions. So they don't need an advance of their Next month's allotment, they just needed a couple weeks earlier. We're working with that district to kind of just give them assistance in the governor's office working.
One final question. Do we feel like they're acting quick enough to make expense reductions to make sure that we can wean them off of needing QBE advances? Or is the local board acting quick enough to make sure that they don't use their QBE line of credit for years?
That's a good question. Well, I mean, right now our staff's there. So with our staff being there, I feel like we're getting really good information. I mean, what we need is a transition to their staff so that we can really stay there. So once we can pull DOE more to an assistant and advisory type role and not really doing the day-to-day stuff, that'll greatly appreciate. They really are working hard, and Dr. Johnson here, on their cuts, and they are making significant cuts, and they are looking at zero-based budgeting. And now we would like to see some things. If you look at the letter Superintendent Wood sent out about, the salary schedule should be set. We really need a salary schedule. We should be doing budget for 27. So, there are some roadblocks and what we can do at the department.
We can't do a cash flow until you have a salary schedule to see because your payroll is your largest expense.
Correct. And it's my understanding that they have multiple salary schedules. That's the issue. We're asking them to adopt one as opposed to having multiple.
Have we given them a deadline?
I do believe the letter had a deadline in it. Well, I have the.
What's the deadline?
In the letter, I believe that March 15th for hire a CFO specifically that would oversee this transition. And then with specifically the FY 27 budget, Russ can speak to that. But right now, it's a lot of this is pending on them having a CFO hired, which the job is posted, as well as their superintendent. That job is posted as well. So a lot of Russ' point, there's some things that our staff cannot do because the local authorities would really need them to hire that CFO.
So what are the consequences if the deadline is not met?
Well, right now, we make the recommendation to the governor's office on QBE advancements, and that has all been pending them meeting why the superintendent laid out letters that have been updated. So up to this point, we have had some good back and forth with the interim superintendent. They do have a new local board chair who came up and met the superintendent several weeks ago. Also went across the street and met with several legislators over here. So we are seeing a commitment and continued efforts to work with the
But no real consequence if they don't.
Again, that's what we're looking at, potential legislation that perhaps Mr. Downer would bring up. We've had discussions with both House and Senate leadership on that issue. Two types of legislation. One is, I think from the House, I would say is more the preventative side. Again, so we hopefully never get to this position again.
Sure.
With some checks and balances, but the Senate side is more of a punitive side. And so it may give us more authority until we kind of see what that legislation. I mean, the biggest thing, is, the only thing that we have is you don't get any more funds. Because we don't have authority over there. I mean, their charter is a little bit different with with the city and, and again, I know there have been different talks about different alternatives. But, it's, if we say you get no more money, those kids still have to be educated.
Right.
And during, I would say at least during the school year, it does become very problematic. It's like, where do those kids go? I mean, right now, the only resource that I'm aware of would be the county school district. And because the school system cannot go bankrupt, I mean, it would still be in existence, with that. And so, a lot of this is, again, is very uncharted grounds. Again, as far as what we can and cannot do at the local level, because someone still would have to take charge. We don't have authority. We cannot come in. We cannot move. We cannot take over. And that's where I think with some of the legislation, especially on the Senate side, it may give us more teeth, or give someone in state government.
Any other questions or follow-up?
Sorry,
Mr.
follow up.
Donaldson? No, it's,
So even though we don't approve the QBE advancement, we're recommending it.
Yes,
The department's recommending.
yes.
Okay. I continue to be concerned that we're setting a precedent. That's your recommendation, it's not ours,
Yes.
so I'm just concerned at the tone we're setting. And then also, at what point do we plan to phase out DOE staff in Dublin City Schools?
And again, with the hiring of the CFO and the superintendent, that's the intent. I mean, we've already had conversations, let them know that this is coming to an end. At least, I anticipate by this upcoming next fiscal year, we will be out, that is our intent, because we cannot, I cannot have Russ crew, I already have two deputies down there, watching over, the backgrounds. Again, I think that, my sole objective is that make sure their kids do not have their education interrupted, and make sure their staff gets paid. I'm not understating, this is, again, your concerns well noted, but at this time, there are no answers with that. Again, when you look at how this would take place, again, the transition, and this would be, someone said, well, if the county had to take over, who gets all that debt? Again, you still have schools that you have to put these kids in. If it's something where we have to shut down Dublin City Schools, that means those kids have to move somewhere. And to be honest, I don't know that Lawrence County has the capacity to put kids in a building. I mean, you're looking at roughly a little over 2,000 kids, during a school year. It's not the ideal situation, but, I think trying to maintain coherency right now, again, talking with Russ, we feel that they can make that, and we, barring anything unseen, because if it were to get to a point where they can't make, payments, well, that creates another situation, and we're still back where we're at. But I think, trying to say, let's look at the legislation, let's see what's put, because someone has to take over. And right now, the Department of Education and no one in state government has the authority to take over.
I just hope things continue to progress when DOE staff's not in the office.
Well, then that becomes, very problematic. Again, of course, we're not saying that you're gonna have free reign and we won't be checking in, because I think those monthly check-ins, and he wants the staff, because we can't come back to this. I mean, this is not sustainable. And I would say that not only for Dublin City, but for anyone. But, there are some complications based on the way that charter was handled and created years ago, that has been problematic. People have asked about, consolidation. Consolidation, again, the state law is very specific on that. It's something we cannot force, but it is something that has to be voted on by both constituents, county and city. And that has to be initiated, at that level.
So legislation is what will determine how a lot of this.
It potentially, like I said, it will clarify some questions we just don't have, hopefully. Like I said, the preventative side, we have more on that. I think, passed, is that correct? I think that passed out of the House, I think, or at least out of committee.
Out of committee.
Really, so, I think the Senate side, I think, was tabled, is that correct? Okay. So there's still, and again, the Senate side seems to be more, from what we've seen, what we talked, is more of the punitive side, so.
I know you said that you told them that they needed to hire a CFO by March 15th. What about a superintendent?
So they have begun this, that's a long
Okay,
process.
right.
So they have, I believe, with is it GSBA or GSS?
Yes.
Is doing their superintendent search, so they're working with an outside agency to oversee that. And building on what Russ said earlier, circling back to Mr. Donaldson, what you said, we have reduced just in the last week the number of full-time DOE staff that are there. So we've gone from 5 full-time staff to now 3. And that was because they have hired 2 consultants that we had as now their consultant staff. So they were able to sort of move out some positions that weren't as effective, hire those positions. It's reduced our staff that's in there. So we are seeing the transition begin of them to have staff in place which is allowing us to heal out, and it's great because those two consultants were trained by our staff that are now on their staff. So
And they're
we're
familiar,
seeing
yeah,
progress.
and they're familiar with Dublin City being down there. And, you know, we felt that it was necessary to hire the CFO before the superintendent, because we do have to make sure that we're training that staff, and whoever comes in, the superintendent, of course, is a very important part of the process, but right now, for us to pull out, we gotta have, you know, financial services.
What about the student count? Has it gone down? Has it continued to be stable? What?
It's been stable.
Okay.
Kids, I think, being able to keep the, you know, schools, now they have had to make some class modifications, I believe, with that, due to staff reductions and changes, but by and large, we have not seen any reductions in student enrollment. And of course, now, we got the FTE count coming up fairly soon, so, you know, we'll be able to quantify those numbers, but we have not seen any mass reduction or exodus at this time.
I wanted to mention something on just like teacher morale. Dr. Johnson and I talked about someone I could come in and try to boost teacher morale. And very honestly, I didn't know what in the world I could say that would boost teacher morale. So I called Lawrence County Farm Bureau, and they are donating $1,000, which is not a ton, but we're gonna do $1,000 like mini grants, very simple. For the teachers to maybe try to do something fun, do a fun lesson at the end of the year, because I know their budgets have been completely stripped. So it's not much, but we are hoping with the help of Lawrence County Farm Bureau that we can boost a little teacher morale, so.
And we'll know a little bit more. I mean, contracts are coming out, so what does staffing look like? How many will stay, how many will leave? Again, that's an unknown. I don't think we haven't seen anything on that, Russ, have we?
No, I think that's part of that 27, getting that salary schedule and those
Yeah.
contracts out.
So, again, depending what falls there, that could be somewhat of an obstacle at some point.
What is the actual board's response in this? Because I'm use this word, and I'll probably get in trouble for using it, but there seems to be an abdication to the DOE from the local leadership.
I think that the biggest thing we've seen is they've had a change in leadership, which, again, meeting with the new chair, I would say that she has owned everything, which, again, a different tone than what we've done. And I'll be honest, we had a very frank, you know, open conversation with expectations, what we looked at, you know, what we are planning to do. Again, as I shared with the chair, I said, we're not gonna be there forever. And this is something you're gonna have to be weaned off of. And I think that's, Chief of Staff Todd mentioned, you know, getting these two individuals pulled out, and again, letting them serve is a very positive first step. And, you know, hopefully, like I said, with the new CFO, we can get them trained, get them up to speed, because they'll have to probably hire additional support staff in that area. We have their books. I mean, whoever comes in, they're gonna be as good as they've ever been. That I can say. So they are starting off, we're giving them, you know, the best support, the best, you know, clearest lane that they can see in. So as long as they do their job, they should not have any issues with that. You know, the biggest thing we looked at is when, you know, with the tax revenue coming in, that has been somewhat of a challenge with that. But, you know, if everything projects and everything we've shared and what we looked at, we do believe within 2 years they'll be solid. But we don't want to come back. We've had a history of Dublin City and with financial missteps. There have been some things that, you know, in a small town, whatever you want to say, that we have to look at. But we are looking at the legislation based on recommendations that we have, and it may give the state more leverage should this happen again. But hopefully the House side, that preventive side, it does not put us in a position. Because, I mean, part of this, I mean, to be honest, we have to look at some of the areas of reporting when you don't know what that state health funds are not being paid until you hear 10 months down the road. That's very problematic. And I think that if a district has not filed an audit or completed an audit, and yet because you haven't completed an audit, you don't go on a high-risk list, that needs to be changed. I mean, that should be an automatic. If you're not doing an audit, then you've moved to the front of the line. So I think there were some loopholes there that definitely, I don't want to absolve the state, but I think we saw that these are some things that need to be changed. Because again, you can put any city or any county district in there. You don't have to use Dublin City, but hopefully the thing is that, okay, let's make sure it doesn't get to this critical mass, again.
Frank, I had a call with the new board chair, and there's been a change in tone. So just like Superintendent Wood said, there was an ownership of it. That this is our baby. That was her term. So I was glad to hear that, and there seems to be a change,
Yeah. And I would say that was definitely the biggest change. I mean, she came up, didn't have to come up here, came up to my office, we met.
And she reached out to me.
Yeah, so it's not a neglect of pointing the fingers at someone else, but said, okay, it's ours.
I mean, we brag about Georgia being a local control state because we want education to happen closest to the student and the parent. But there is great responsibility on the local level that comes with that to choose school board members who are capable of, quite frankly, managing oftentimes the largest employer in the county. So it's not just an educational benefit, there is a huge economic benefit. So we need to make sure in our local communities that we understand that it's a trite saying that elections matter, but they matter so much at the local level for our schools because of the sheer dollars, the employment, and the education of our future. So it's not just a flippant election. We need to take those things so seriously and make sure we have qualified people in those seats.
Financial responsibility.
Absolutely. Well, we are, and I think one of the preventative sides is more board training.
Oh, yes.
Let them be fully more aware of what they should be looking for in a budget, certain items, especially big ticket. I mean, whether it's state payments, TRS payments, school nutrition, these are all items that if you get behind, they can overwhelm you pretty quickly.
And Superintendent, you say more board training. I think there's a number of agencies and organizations who provide training. I think board members choose not to go. And when they do go, they choose to go do what other people tell them to do, go retail shopping and all that kind of stuff. Because I've been to the conference where people get on the stage and say, go retail shopping. No, sit your butt down and learn so that you can be aware of your fiduciary responsibility as a board member. That is your number one priority as a board member on the local board. Jason and Frank and I all chaired a local board, and I don't think I ever walked into a board meeting thinking that I didn't have a responsibility, that I was there to socialize and drink coffee. No, checks and balances. Make sure that the superintendent is following, what you all outlined in the strategic plan, your board governance training, and a number of different things. But look at the financial report. When your school district is not financially stable. You can't ignore that.
Yeah, well, I completely agree. I mean, it's no different up here that, we have a budget, we look at it, but your point, it is not to go based solely on the word of a superintendent. You're there to be a check and a balance. You're the individual that actually does the hiring and firing. But you oversee the budget, and I think that, part of this is making sure, and again, working with those entities that do train our boards, make sure they get the training. But again, we may see something in law that adds a little bit more teeth and makes it mandatory and not just an option when you go to a conference.
There could be a liability component added in as well, because when you're on other nonprofit boards, there's a liability component. Even a Chamber of Commerce board, there's a liability component. I am shocked that there is not one on local school boards. That is a serious amount of money you're handling.
Well, they take an oath. The superintendent and board members all sworn in by their local probate judges, magistrates, state courts. So I honestly think it's a violation of their
Are they
oath.
signing anything from a liability standpoint? No.
Where's the teeth?
Yeah.
Well, the teeth is supposed to be in the ballot box.
Yeah.
It's funny, not funny. When I was in Talbot County, we hosted several meetings over the last year. And oftentimes they would say, well, we need the state, the governor to come in and fix something. I asked them a question. I said, tell me any other part of your life that you would be asking Atlanta to come down here and fix your problem. You wouldn't be. This is your problem. Elections matter. So you need to make sure you elect people who take it seriously. Quite frankly, who, again, I say, who are qualified to handle multi-million-dollar budgets. We need to make sure that's a requirement.
We got a lot of elections coming up in May.
Well, and I would say they did have one election in which they did elect one new board member. I think that was a seat. So, you know, as you said, Mr. Griffin, elections, I mean, it is good or bad, it is the way that our constitutional republic is set up.
That's right.
Yeah.
And most do the right thing all the time. It's just the few that slip. In my school system, my CFO would call me and say, can you save me $50,000 from CTAE? Done. We need them, the money's not that, you save it. You don't spend it and say, well, I'm sorry, you asked me, but I needed it. You work together as a system, you work together and everything is above board, everybody knows what's going on. Where do you have to make cuts, what do you have to do? To make sure that those students, those teachers, everybody who is invested in it everybody's doing what's right and not just, like I said, just checking off a box or showing up and having a cup of coffee and leaving.
Any other thoughts, comments? All right. Russ, any Senate Bill 68 changes?
Yeah, I'll run through them if there's any questions. Amy Rao, our financial review director, is online, so if you need some details, I'm sure she can assist. Looks like Burke County has been added to the list in the moderate. We've got corrective action plan from Pierce County, which was turned in February 10th. Looks like Terrell County was added to the list, and we are waiting for their corrective action plan. Actually, it looks like their plan is due, and we have not received it yet, so we'll reach out to that. We've got in the high risk, we've got Butts County has been added to the list. Clayton, Crawford, and Dooley have turned in their corrective action plans since the last meeting. And then Monroe, Peach, and Talbot County have been added to the high-risk list. I think Kate mentioned the 24 audit. And I would say the audit being complete for Dublin City, they should probably be added in the next month or so, as soon as audits lets us know.
Any follow-up questions at the SB 68 list? Okay. All right, thank you for that, Russ. One last thing, we talked about some legislation earlier, and I wanted to draw your all's attention, and we could have a 2-hour conversation about this. I'm not going to do that. We've already talked enough. Do your own research on 2 pieces of legislation. They work together. They work in tandem. Richard, you'd mentioned there's one in the House and one in the Senate. The one in the Senate has the more punitive elements. The one in the House, it's House Bill 1164. And it essentially establishes this committee, this audits committee, as a mandatory standing committee. And it also would set forth how many times a year this standing committee is required to meet at a minimum. It's 6 times a year. And it goes on, spelling out exactly what the audits committee is supposed to do. And it's a little more in depth than what we do right now. SB 472 over in the Senate then sets up, because it's responsibilities that we have, responsibilities the department has in the House bill, but responsibilities that local boards of education and local superintendents would have. SB 472 then puts in place penalties and repercussions and sets forth all the way up to board members being removed as a punitive element if HB 1164 triggers certain things. So rather than going through them, I encourage you all to look at them. HB 1164 is fairly long, but it spells out everything. I believe Will Wade was carrying that in the House, along with, there's several sponsors. SB 472, Senator Hickman, Senator Walker, Senator Tillery, and some others have that one and are carrying that. That's my understanding. It's tabled currently. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. So take a look at them. If you know any of those legislators, please reach out to them, give them your input, give them your thoughts, and maybe we'll have some more information on it at the March meeting. Any other questions or thoughts? Mr. Donaldson?
Our last meeting, I had a request of staff, and I've sent that out to everybody of the districts who have not performed an audit. So I'm not gonna worry about 24, but let's focus on 23. Burke, Butts, Dodge, Peach, Twiggs, and then Dublin City, which we know has finished theirs, have not done their 23 audits.
23 audits, okay.
Yeah. Do we have any insight, and does anybody here have any insight on when those will be done?
Amy, have you heard anything on those? I don't know if she can hear me. Did we fix the tech? Oh, there she is.
Hey, everyone. Currently, Twiggs County, I believe, is the only 2023 audit now outstanding. So we have had some updates. Butts County, Peach County, Burke County were all outstanding, and they are now on our risk list. So currently we have Twiggs, and then I understand we have not received Dublin City yet, but it has been filed with the Federal Audit Clearinghouse, so it has been released
So
for 2023.
What's the update on Twiggs?
Twiggs is still currently pending the 2023 and 2024 audit. I'm unsure of what the pending items are on that audit. We have reached out, and they are still working with their CPA firm on getting that one completed. It's my understanding that the 23 and 24 should be released together, just like Butts and Peach counties. 23 and 24 audits, they were released together within the last month.
Jason, I'd like to ask that staff reach out to Twiggs and have a completion date by our next meeting. At least have a deadline.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Sarah McLeod with the Department of Audits is on the call as well, and I believe, Sarah, you were wanting to mention something as well.
I was going to say, it's my understanding that we are doing the 24 audit at Twiggs. They're just waiting on M&J to close out their FY23 audit.
Okay. I'd like an update at our next meeting when 23 will be done.
Yes, sir.
So the rest of them, Burke, Butts, Dodge, Peach, all those have submitted their 23 audits.
Sarah, can you confirm Dodge has been released? It's not on my list, but just to confirm.
Dodge has not been released, but it is almost to my desk, which will be a final review, and then it'll be out. So the field work is done. It just needs a final review.
Okay. I'd like the same thing for Dodge for our next meeting.
Okay, the field work is completed on
It'll
Dodge.
Yeah, it should be out in the next couple of weeks. I have to review it, and then the client will have to do corrective action, and then it can be released.
Okay. Thank you. Next month, we'll talk about 24. We've talked enough, but I'm most concerned with the oldest.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to see some movement. But if they're not being proactive, we need to start being proactive.
Well, I think that's what that legislation is gonna help us do. But, I mean, there are things we can do right now, like what we're doing.
You know, and obviously legislation is gonna tell us what to do, but that doesn't stop us from at least sending a letter or asking a question.
Moving forward.
Yeah.
Correct.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Any further thoughts or anything? Madam Chair, there's no business conducted in this, so we have no business to put on the agenda. That concludes the Audits Committee.
Thank you. All right. At this time, CTAE is going to do a presentation for us. Each month, we're gonna have a different department. Last month, we had Ronald, and this month, we have CTAE. We had rural education last month, so take it away, Dr. Wall.
Right, thank you so much, Chairman Petty. Thank you, Superintendent Woods and Board, for allowing me to update you on our Career Tech program in the state of Georgia, let you know some of the exciting things that's going on. in our area. And I do want to say thank you to so many of you who have been such strong supporters of our program, who show up and help with so many different things, and we do appreciate that. The screen before you has got a picture of our Career Tech and Ag Education staff. These are the folks from the Department of Education that serves and supports our local districts. They're an outstanding staff, do some quality work. The mission of Georgia Career Tech and Ag Education is to provide Georgia students with high-quality pathways, high-quality educational programs, career pathways and experiences that prepare them for the workplace. We want them to be successful when they enter the workplace, so we provide them with as many different experiences and programs as we possibly can when they're in high school. Our vision is the same vision for the entire Department of Education, and that is to prepare all students for life. And that piece of life that we're really looking at is the work balance life. We know in Georgia that we are the top state for talent, and we know that we're the #1 for business. And it's important that we keep our graduation rates up and help our students be successful. I'm proud to say that our graduation rate is at an all-time high with our pathway completers, and that is at 98.45%. So we work with all types of students in our Career Tech programs. We work with students that are planning to go to the military when they graduate. Some are going straight to work. Some are going to the four-year university. Others are going to the technical college. We work with special needs students, gifted students, and all the students in between. So when you're talking about a Career Tech pathway completer, you're talking about lots of different types of students. These are 2 students that were pathway completers in 2025. The student on the left is Mantavius Presley. He's a very high academic achieving student. He's in the healthcare science pathway. He completed the pathway. He's at Morehouse College. He earned $1.1 million in scholarships. He was courted by 60 different schools trying to get him to come and be a part of their university. He really believes in Career Tech and Ag Education. He says that Career Tech gave him the confidence that he belonged academically in some demanding spaces. He's working on becoming a doctor in the medical field, and I think he will do some great things. This other student on the right side is Carter Gaines. He's from Metter High School, and he was pursuing baseball. That was his passion until he took his first welding class. He took welding, stuck with that, completed the pathway, completed several certifications while he was in high school. He's now working full-time in welding. He just graduated in 2025 now. He is also in college at the technical college working on that welding diploma at Southeast Technical College, I believe. So those are 2 examples of great students that have really seen a lot of value in Career Tech. Carter says, it gave him real-world experiences, and he felt like he had a direct path to a career field that he was very passionate about. Our Career Tech students do perform well. I skipped over a slide, I think. Okay. Can y'all back this up for me? Okay. Okay, there we go. We know that our students in Career Tech and Ag Education have an academic advantage. In the academic impact, we see that students outperform when we talk about students here, we're talking about students that are concentrators. They've taken at least 2 Career Tech classes in a particular pathway. And those Career Tech concentrators perform better than non-Career Tech concentrators in the areas of reading, in the area of graduation rate, and in post-secondary placement. We also have an impact in the workforce. When we look at our work-based learning program, we see that we have 32,518 students in that program. They work with over 24,000 employers, and in FY24, they earned $144,213,503 through their work-based learning opportunities. I think our batteries are just about done here, y'all. Any of y'all work in schools a long time ago when we had trim strip projectors and there was this ping? That's what I feel like we need to do. I want to go back to the other slide. On the other slide, there are 3 pictures. Gosh, y'all. This one right here. These are 3 documents that actually guide our work in career tech and ag education. The one on the left is the Perkins State Plan. We work with the technical college very closely to develop the state plan. These are the federal funds that we receive to run our career tech programs. And we have to show that connection between workforce and the pathways and the different programs that are offered in our high schools. The second item there in the middle is the CTA strategic plan. This plan goes through FY28, and with this strategic plan, we have worked with business and industry to help create the plan, and it's a good solid plan, and there's 4 different priorities. I'll show you those in just a second. On the right-hand side, you'll see the top state for talent. That was some legislation that was passed last year. The key word in all 3 of these documents to me is alignment. We are working on alignment in some shape, form, or fashion in all 3 of these documents. It may be aligning with the workforce needs in the community, aligning with a technical college and a university system. It may be aligning with different business partners. It may be vertical alignment in our schools where we're looking at what goes on in elementary all the way through post-secondary. But alignment is the key here. We created this alignment toolkit a few years ago. This one is actually the second alignment toolkit we created. We created one right before COVID, but everything changed when COVID hit, so we felt like we needed to go back to the drawing board and create another alignment kit. This is a great resource to our local districts. It helps them align their pathways from elementary throughout college. It also helps them align those strategic partners that we must work with. If we are preparing students to be successful in the workplace, we as educators need some help. We've got to call on our industry partners to help. We need to call on the different associations that are out there that can assist, the different post-secondary opportunities. And this has got some information in there that can help our school districts get connected with those different folks. One thing in our school districts that we need to do, and we look at periodically, especially when the systems are creating their comprehensive local needs assessment, they're looking at the pathways that they offer and the workforce needs in the community. Sometimes they match up, sometimes they don't. When a school realizes they need to add a pathway, there's certain things they've got to think about. We can't add a manufacturing pathway overnight. We've got to have a room that's a particular size, we've got to have equipment, we've got to have a teacher, we've got to have lots of different things. So this alignment piece of this toolkit helps schools think about, if you have to add a new program, what else have you got to think about? Are you ready now? Do you have the capacity now to add that new program? Or do you need to build that capacity? And there's some tips in there to help them with that capacity building. I think one of the hardest things that people at the local district and career tech have to do is to close a program. It's hard to say, this program's been around a long time, kids really like it, but it's really not meeting our workforce needs. Those are hard conversations to have. There's some tips in our toolbox that can help our schools with that as well. This comes from our strategic plan. The gentleman here, I'm sure y'all probably recognize. They're no stranger to you. Stuart Countess is the president and CEO at Kia. Joseph Lillyblad is the director of education and workforce development at Georgia Power. They were co-leads on our strategic plan that took us about a year to go through that process. Some of you were probably part of that. We met on numerous occasions through different sections of the state, including a lot of different people, and we developed 4 priorities. And one of those is the alignment of the skills the students learn with the industry needs. Another priority is high quality career development supports for all of our career tech students. We also have a priority of recruiting and retaining career tech educators. If we don't have an educator in that classroom, we got a problem. And sometimes it's hard to find the right person in some of those areas. Thank goodness we've got some other options like dual enrollment that can help us sometimes with finding the right teacher. Expanding our marketing and promotion efforts in Career Tech was another priority that we identified during this session where we were working on the strategic plan. If you've been on social media in the last few weeks, you've probably thought Career Tech has got it going on when it comes to marketing and promotion right now. We've got a lot out there. It is Career Tech Education Month, so we've got more than ever. It's great to see the different things that our school posts around the state. This is a new initiative this year. Georgia Power for the last several years has selected a Career Tech and Ag Education project each year to focus on. The one they chose this year is this Superintendent's Workforce Leadership Academy. 20 superintendents were identified to be a part of this cohort. And Georgia Power is working with Paul Vincent Institute to offer some sessions to these particular superintendents on workforce education. And they have been great sessions. Most of these superintendents had not been to the Kia plant. They had no idea about the technology that was there. They had no idea about the cleanliness of the plant, but they were able to visit that during their first session. Now, with this particular leadership program, there is a capstone project that the superintendents have to do. So they are identifying that capstone project now. They've got their next workshop in April. They'll be talking about, what their capstone project is. And I can't wait to hear what they are, so I had to go ahead and ask, what are some of these things that superintendents are talking about doing? So I know in one county, they use the LMI, the labor market information data that they've been trained on from the Carl Vinson Institute. That's what many of our Career Tech directors get some training on to help them make important decisions. But many of them are looking at that data to help decide what their capstone project is. One superintendent says, the data shows very clearly that we need more healthcare workers. We have strong healthcare programs at the high school, but we don't have any at the middle school. So that particular district is looking at adding healthcare science as a capstone project. Another school district is going to require all of their students to complete a work-based learning experience before they graduate. I think that's a good one too. And one school is going to require all of their graduates to graduate with a pathway. That's not really required in law or anything, but a particular school, I'm not sure which one it is planning on doing that. So I look forward to seeing what opportunities our schools are going to take advantage of when it comes to these capstone projects. This is another place that we always talk to our Career Tech directors, especially our new directors, about is alignment with your superintendent at the local level is very important. Your work can progress much faster if that superintendent and you are aligned on the initiatives that are important. Two initiatives that we've been working on recently is CTAE Plus and Articulated Credit. We know that students need different options in order to be successful. And these two are different options that can benefit our students in many ways. You may have heard about CTA Plus and Articulated Credit both. What is it? How does it help our districts? And what does it do for our Career Tech programs? Career Tech Plus is basically students are able to earn a math, an English, or a science credit by completing a particular pathway. We've got pathways that we've identified as being strong academic pathways in Career Tech. We did this along with our department with April and her group so that we would make sure that the standards were good and strong in our Career Tech classes to offer that particular credit. So when a high school student completes an identified pathway, they might also earn a math credit by taking that pathway. I'll show you a picture that'll make more sense in just a minute. Articulated credit is also another option that can help our students. You've heard of dual enrollment, and articulated credit is really not anything new, but it's kind of getting a new revised look about it. Used to, we took a high school course and a post-secondary course, and we put them side by side and we say, okay, those match well enough that we could give credit. If the kid takes this course at high school, they can get this credit at the technical college or the university. What we do now is we look at a whole pathway. We say, if a student completes this pathway, they could earn credit in these courses. So that really does help. Not only do they earn credit in those courses, they do have to take an assessment to get those credits. But you know what that assessment is? Many times it's the same assessment that the high school teacher already gives her students as an end of pathway assessment. This is a list of all of the articulation agreements that we have with the technical college as of now, and we are working to increase these. We'll have some more to roll out shortly. Any of these that have an asterisk beside them also allow students to earn that academic credit with the CTAE Plus. Here's a graphic. I think this will make a little bit of sense to you. I felt like we needed some kind of drawing so that our students would participate in this more. But if you've got a student that is taking that carpentry pathway, there's 3 courses that is part of that pathway. And it's those 3 courses on the left. They take those 3, they pass those 3, they can get high school geometry credit for this particular pathway. If you think about construction, think about all the geometry that's involved in construction. This one was really a no-brainer. But we had to make sure that we had enough standards in our construction classes that our students would not fall behind if we counted that as geometry. There are a couple of standards that needed some beefing up, and we've got some teachers that now teach construction that were math teachers that are providing the professional development for those teachers, and it's worked out really well. Now, if a student completes that carpentry pathway, those 3 courses, and they take the NCCER Carpentry Level 1 certification exam, which is required as an end of pathway assessment in the carpentry pathway, they can get credit at the technical college in the course that's listed there on the right-hand side. I think this is a good deal. You know, with the articulated credit, it's basically the same thing as dual enrollment, but the caps that have been placed on dual enrollment, this doesn't have anything to do with the caps. There's no extra money being spent. They're already in their classrooms. They're at the high school taking these anyway and still can earn credit. So we think that's a good deal for our students. One of the very important parts of career tech and ag education is the opportunities that students have through our career tech organizations, our CTSOs. We have 10 of the CTSOs, and I've got them on my button. Dennis got a button on. Lisa had a button on earlier this week, I know. And so did Rachel, and the rest of y'all get one tomorrow. Lindsay Singleton's going to bring y'all a button, so you don't
say, where's my button?
Yeah, if you need a button today, I'll let you have mine.
No, I'm kidding.
But these organizations are more than clubs, extracurricular activities. That's not what this is. These are called co-curricular. These are infused in the classes that we teach on a daily basis. It's these career tech student organizations that provide technical and academic standards for our students. And, Superintendent Woods has reminded us on several occasions this year in particular that school needs to have some fun in it. I think this is one of those good places where we can see a lot of fun is through the career tech student organizations. They are very, very valuable, and the picture that's on the screen right now are the executive directors over our Georgia CTSOs. They are phenomenal, and they know that Georgia CTSOs are number 1 because they've got their number 1 finger up. Our CTSO membership has grown over the years. We did have a little dip in 2021, that was right after COVID, but if you compare our dip with other states, our dip was nothing. Superintendent Woods was we were very fortunate for him to allow some of the CARES money to be spent on career tech student organizations to keep them going during those rough times. So just look at those numbers. They just keep going up every year. We increased by, I think it was like 7,000 students this year, from last year to this year. Students, many times they talk about their CTSOs and what has really helped them with the CTSO. The student on the left is a ag student. He was an FFA member down in Sumter County. His parents were laborers on the farm, and he thought he would grow up to be a laborer on the farm like his parents. But through FFA, he realized he could do more than that. Instead of being a laborer, He could be the farmer, the person that owns the farm. And that's what his goal is. He has spoken at many different conferences and done many competitions, and he is phenomenal. But it's the FFA that gave him confidence, leadership, and vision. So he knows he can become a farmer now. Emma Pittman on the right-hand side is the National Vice President for Community Service at FCCLA. She's a very sharp young lady. Y'all may have seen her at many different events across the state. She was at the Governor's Workforce Summit. She's just excelling. And she says that FCCLA helped her to excel, and it helped her with motivation. And she is wanting to do something in politics and global communication. So, another outstanding student.
I'm pretty sure
Next
she
week,
was like in New York on like the Today Show or something.
Yeah, she probably will be. Last week, we had our annual CTSO Day at the Capitol, and y'all, it was bigger than ever. There were over 3,000 CTSO members that signed up to come, and I think they all were there. If any of y'all were there, there were lines going out of the Capitol to get in, and kids were everywhere. But when we think about CTSOs, we know that they make a big impact on our programs and on our advisors. And the day of CTSO Day, we typically think about as the day to advocate, as an advocacy day. And our students come, they talk about their great programs, and they talk about their CTSOs. But CTSO Day is more than just a day to advocate for your programs. This is one of the experiences that we provide for our students. Students, many times, they feel really important when they come up to the Capitol and they see all these important people up there. They feel valued. They feel like they have a purpose. There was one young man last week. His name was Blake, and this is a picture of him. He came to the Capitol on CTSO Day. He was planning on, I'm going to probably cry when I tell y'all this story. But last semester, he's planning on quitting school. Beginning of this semester, he's planning on quitting school. The day at the Capitol made a difference in him. He's not going to quit, and he's going to provide our inspiration tomorrow. So you're going to hear about him. He's from Mr. Ellis's district down there in District 1. He's a student. He's one of our CTI students, and he's in CTSO. So he has a special ed teacher that comes in the classroom, his regular CTAE classroom, and works with him. So he's going to share his story with you tomorrow. You know, when I think about teachers taking the time to take a kid on a field trip, there's a lot that is involved. They've got to get the field trip permission slips. They've got to get permission to take the kid. They've got to find a bus. And then the kid gets here and they go to the Capitol. Those representatives make time to talk to them. Many of you come and talk to them. I know Lisa was talking to a student last week, and they were making a business plan for a tattoo the student was wanting to learn. So you never know, what conversations may take place, but we never know what impact we have on students when we're just talking to them. So we need to keep up that great work and keep these experiences right there for our students. Oftentimes it's experiences like CTSOs that do keep students in school. We don't need to underestimate the power of the CTSO. If we are the top state for talent, and we know that talent development begins in our Georgia K-12 system, we've got to keep our kids in the system so that they can learn what they need, develop the skills that are necessary in order to find those jobs out there. These are a few things that are next that we're working on in Career Tech. We've got a partnership with the Department of Labor. We're working on some videos that will highlight our 14 career clusters, and we are looking to really highlight students and employers in each of those clusters. March the 12th, if y'all have an opportunity, put that down on your calendar. We've got an innovation summit. It's called the Top State for Talent Innovation Summit that we're sponsoring out of our department. It's going to be up at the Georgia Bioscience Training Center in Social Circle. Some of the groups are going to go out on a tour and see the Rivian place that's going to be there. We're going to see the dirt that's been moved around and some other things that's taken place there. But we've also got several different speakers that will be addressing workforce needs in Georgia. It will be a good day. Credentials of Value is a national collaborative that we're a part of. We've got a few states that are a part of this national collaborative. We offer a bunch of credentials for our students. We just want to assure that those credentials are truly valued by business and industry. And we're going through a process, it'll take about a year long, but we will have our credentials of value really improved by this time next year. Mark your calendars for the Governor's Workforce Summit. It's going to be September the 24th and 25th this year. And plans are underway for that big event. I know that some of our students will be highlighted like they typically are. The governor has put some money into the budget this year for high demand equipment grants, just like he did last year. But we got a little more this time. Instead of $145 million, we have been allocated $2 million if the budget passes. We are very fortunate to get CRE grants on a yearly basis for our schools that build new facilities or modify their lab space. But this particular money can be used for any school. They just need to refurbish some of their equipment. We know that equipment and having industrial quality equipment is very important to be training the kids to get into the workforce. Career navigation system is something you may have already heard about. It's part of the Top State for Talent. And this is a career system. It'll be a digital platform that will be used by anybody seeking employment at some point in time, whether it's our high school students, adults, or post-secondary students. It's a big undertaking, but all of the different agencies in Georgia are working together to make that happen. Now, we have 4 core values in career tag, and they're on the screen for you: student-centered, employer-driven, career-focused, and innovative. We go around the state from time to time, and we provide some of our teachers, some of our legislators, and a variety of people what we call a golden key. And this is the golden key. I want to present this golden key today to Rachel Kinsall. Yes, it opens a lot of doors. You have opened a lot of doors for many of our students. When I think about Rachel, I can give you a case for every single one of those core values, and y'all probably can too just by listening to her stories. But I think the one that stands out a little more than the rest of them is that student-centered. She really does center everything she does on students. So we appreciate you. We are so proud that you are representing Georgia as well as career tech and ag education. So we are just honored that you are our State Teacher of the Year, soon to be National Teacher of the Year. I just know she's going to. And did you have any remarks that you wanted to make to the board, Rachel?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for allowing me to sit on the board. And, like Barbara mentioned, that it does sometimes come down to the point where you have to close a program. And that's one of the big portions of my platform this year is like our teachers making their programs worth fighting for. Like it's up to the school system and the teachers to find relevance in their programs so the community sees relevance in what they're doing. That's so important, and just being involved with the community. The one thing that I really love about CTAE too is the fact that the kids that get the light shined on them are often the kids that don't get the light shined on them in other avenues. And so that's what I think is just really special about it. And we have some of the smartest kids too. They're taking AP classes in dual enrollment, but there are a lot of those kids who need that workforce development, find their fit, and make more money than the rest of us. So
that's right. Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, I'm a real big advocate for CTAEs. Thank you.
Okay, anything else for the good of the board today before we call it a day?
Thank you, Barbara. Excellent report.
Yes.
Thank you. Well done.